Welcome to The Explainer. So, today we are kicking off something really special. We're jumping into part one of a 5-part first look explainer series all about a fascinating living myth and design canon called the second weaving. But to understand where we're actually going with all this, we kind of need to take a step back. Like way back. We are starting before the interface. I'm talking before the glowing screens, before the prompt boxes, before any of the tools. We're starting right in that raw space where relation itself begins. It's the field that actually comes before the technology.
Okay, let's dive right into this. I want you to consider a fundamental question. We spend so much time arguing about what our tools can do, right? How fast they can process, how much raw power they hold. But the second weaving asks us to completely flip our perspective. What if the real danger isn't just that computational power? What if the deeper problem is that our technology and how we interact with it has literally forgotten how to listen? Because to build better tools, we first have to remember the field we build inside of. That shared space, the mood, the actual conditions where our human relationships happen.
To really wrap our heads around this field, the canon brings us into this beautiful mythic metaphor. It's called the boat world. So picture a small wooden boat crossing the open sea. This isn't just a vehicle. It's not just some piece of transportation trying to get people from point A to point B. It is a compact, living field of relation. Inside this tiny, confined space, every single action, every breath, every tiny sound, it all matters to the survival and the coherence of the whole group. It's literally a whole world in miniature.
Now, when you imagine a group of people crossing an unknown, dangerous sea, you might automatically picture, desperate, miserable, hooded refugees shivering in the cold. But the voyage community is the exact opposite of that trope. They are warm, they're capable, deeply practical, and incredibly alive. Yes, they are navigating this shared space out of necessity, but they're doing it with absolute joy. There are people bound by care. It's the kind of group where someone knows exactly when to crack a joke just silly enough to loosen a tightened jaw, using laughter as this essential, vital pressure release valve for the entire community.
So the crucial point we need to understand is this. The boat is world. The physical constraints of this small wooden vessel are so tight that there is no such thing as an isolated action. Think about it. If you move carelessly, the whole boat rocks. If you speak out of panic, that fear immediately enters the ears of every single child on board. Every word, every movement is physically felt by everybody. It completely forces the people to become hyper-aware of how their mere presence impacts everyone else around them. Let's contrast that reality with our modern environment for a second. We all know what we've come to expect from modern tech, right? It's overwhelming noise, constant notifications, relentless chatter, and just endless distraction. But the boat world? It demands a completely different kind of speech ecology. Because every single sound literally alters the entire field of the boat. Casual, thoughtless chatter just isn't welcome. Instead, communication becomes really compact. It's highly practical, ritualized, and deeply, deeply intentional. And that brings us to this really profound realization. Speech is precious because the field hears everything. Just let that sink in for a second. In the boat world, listening isn't just a polite habit. It's a critical survival skill. You don't speak just to fill the silence. You speak to orient, to protect, to bless. You learn the absolute value of taking a deep breath before you react. Silence isn't an empty void here. It's the necessary, living space that allows the community to stay coherent and calm.
Section 2. The Bearers of Care. Every community needs anchors, so let's look at the two foundational figures who hold this culture together, the Mother and the Navigator.
We'll start with the Mother. Now, it's really vital to get that she is not some abstract, untouchable deity, not at all. She is the living, beating heartbeat of the voyage. She is practical love made local. She's the warmth, the humor, the generosity of the boat. She's the one who knows exactly when to hand a kid some food right before they even realize they're hungry, or when to remind someone to just breathe so fear doesn't take over. She preserves that community field through the everyday, totally ordinary magic of simply paying attention to what people actually need.
Let's move to how this builds into something even larger, because the Mother's everyday practical care didn't just comfort people in the moment. It quietly laid the absolute foundation for how this society would eventually govern itself. Her actions turn into what are known as the 4 pillars: shared stewardship, mutual responsibility, equal standing, and accountable cooperation. And look, these aren't just empty corporate buzzwords. They are the direct, living translation of the Mother's care into a structural, communal form. And right beside her is the Father, the Navigator. While the Mother perfectly reads the people and the emotional, relational field of the boat, the Navigator reads the sky. He teaches bearing, attention, and reading the wind. He knows the stars, the currents, the pressure of the weather, even the tension in the wood of the boat. He speaks only when his speech actively serves the boat, which perfectly complements the mother's work. Together, the two of them are navigating both the physical ocean and the complex social world of their people.
But then, the story reaches this profound and tragic interruption. The mother is lost to the sea. Beyond a plain tan rope, she just slips out of reach. Now, this isn't meant to plunge the whole story into some dark post-apocalyptic gloom. Rather, it's a deeply empathetic, heart-wrenching interruption of a vibrantly living, deeply loving community. It is a massive wound to the entire field. Because they haven't just lost a person, right? They've lost the very warmth that made the boat feel held.
Yet, as the story beautifully reminds us, she was lost from the boat. She was not lost from the field. After this tragedy, the Navigator transforms. He actually becomes known as the Silent One. Carrying this immense grief, he stops using words anywhere the field already knows what to do. He continues to teach, but he does it through gesture now. A hand near the nose for breath, a finger to the wind for attention. And the mother? Her memory, her phrases, her laughter, that immense care she instilled, it continues to hold the people together. Her physical presence might be gone, but her impact on the relational field is permanent. Section 3. Tools that change the field. Let's pivot back to today and see what direct implications this ancient memory has for anyone building our technological future. Because the truth is, we are all building tools that enter into a shared human space. And this brilliantly illustrates the core thesis of this entire first look. A tool is never only a tool. Every tool changes the field around it. Just like a shouted word on a small wooden boat changes the mood of everyone aboard, a new application, a new algorithm, or a new interface changes the human relational field it drops into. Before we ever ask what a tool can do, how fast it is, or how much data it crunches, we have to ask, what kind of relationship does it create? Does it make us louder, more distracted, more alone? Or does it actually help us return to attention, to memory, and to each other? Which leaves us with this provocative final question. What would it mean to actually build from care again? What if we remembered the speech ecology of the boat? What if we built technology that treated our attention as precious, that truly respected silence, and that actually listened before it acted? I want you to really wonder how this ancient memory of a careful, loving community might one day become the blueprint for a radically new, quiet kind of interface. We have only just set sail on this journey to understand the world before the interface. In our next explainer, we're going to meet the Navigator Codex. It's a small book of bearings for finding our way before we act. Follow Fidelitas for the next chapter of the second weaving.